This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from the economic capital of Nigeria, Lagos. My name is Henry Igwibike. We'll be starting off today with our newspapers, and right after that will be in conversation also for today. Please do well to be part of what we do. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us today gentlemen of the press, starting with Memeka Madunagu, journalist, public affairs analyst, and Innocent Aduluba, journalist, public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you so very much. All right, so today we're very so excited, of course, looking at our newspapers and having journalists to help us peruse through. Let's dig deep and see what we can, of course, have from there. We have the big story here. LG Autonomy Government Bloc Council Chairman from opening CBN account. Of course, that's what we'll be discussing from our main conversation. But right now, let's go straight to our talking points. 78,000 Cameroonians orders sought asylum in Nigeria, and that's according to the United Nations. I'd love to start with you, Innocent Aduluba, on this particular matter. One would think, really, Cameroon, is it the, are we speaking of the Anglophone part of Cameroon, or is it a general thing?
First of all, Nigeria's borders are very porous for people to come in. But Nigerians don't enjoy such privileges with their own neighbors. Just to cross into Badagry, you know what it is. Now, Francophone, Germanic Cameroon, Cameroon, you know, after the war and Hitler's defeat, a section of the Cameroon, south of the Adamawa Plateau, was added. Let me use that word. So the part, it used to be what made Nnamdi Azikiwe has the political party of Nigeria, Council of Nigeria and the Cameroon, NCNC. But when that segment, Lower Benue, Eastern Cross River was added, places like Mamfe, places like, if you come down, Boya, down to Douala, were added. So, and with that, let me use the word overlap, the language, notice that they speak almost the same language and have the same culture across the borders. Around the Central Cross River, where you have the Iboki speaking people in Ikom, there is a bridge into the forest there. Across the divide, both of them farm plantain and cocoa heavily. Now, if you come down south, it's very mountainous with Mediterranean climate. Around Oban. The Oban hills are both in Nigeria and across the border in Cameroon. Down, Akpaboyo, areas where Mary Slesso and what's the name of the man with Mary Slesso? I keep always forgetting. Areas where they operated. So, and it's like when there was a Western region and Eastern region, people around Onitsha can just cross the river and enjoy free education with the Asaba axis under the Western Region administration of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. And barring colonization, balkanization, mapping, some of these people may have seen themselves before as one until it fell under boundaries with alternate sovereignties. And so around the core places, Nigeria has even lost more ground under President Olusegun Obasanjo, where Abana, the main towns on the Bakassi Peninsula, was ceded to Cameroon in that France-backed petition, a famous dent on Obasanjo's administration. And that number, 78,000 plus, spanned from 2000 to 2024. So, year 2024, you have averagely over 3,800 people annually if we want to span it out across that average. And trade is also localized. Lots of crayfish, lots of aquatics, some, let's use the word bushmeat, and then trading. Some Nigerians predominantly the Igbo-speaking extraction. Some use that route to Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think it's something for us to worry that much, especially if we run a very attractive governance where efficiency is at display. Look, you can imagine what Nigeria used to be in the days of yore. So it tells us for the productivity we enjoy, more labor are coming in. Something like what the US have with their southern neighbors, Mexico. But today, I think some Nigerians would want some people out. So wait till we get, make it a rich we with it.
It's actually very funny, Emeka, how that, in Cameroon, there's clearly divided between the Francophone and Anglophone. And the Anglophone speaking Cameroonians are feeling marginalized so very much that they're not accounted for as much as they would want to. But speaking on this particular matter, seeking for asylum in Nigeria, does that mean that Nigeria is better than what they observe or experience in their country?
Well, it all depends on who is putting on the shoes. We might say Nigeria is better because of the population, because Nigeria is more stable in terms of political governance. Excuse me. But some days ago, there was this talk about former President Olusegun Obasanjo going to invest $700,000 in Cameroon. And then there are some people expressed shock that why would he want to go and invest such money in Cameroon? The agricultural sector, some other sectors in Cameroon. So just this morning, I came across a news item. There is an oil company called Asharami. They have moved into Kenya now, and they are going to play a dominant role in Kenya's oil and gas sector. They are going to shift the Kenyans aside, and they are going to take control of the oil and gas sector. So it all depends on who. But I do know that the Anglophone Cameroon has not been stable for a while because of the fight by the Amazonian militants to take over power there. But it's not been easy for them to succeed. So people emigrate to other places for different reasons. You can see there are people from other countries, businessmen from other countries moving to the United States because, Donald Trump's style is actually America first. And what he's doing, like I was saying earlier this morning, is that one, he wants to, from what I read, he wants to crash the stock market to just 20% of the American economy and then push more investment into treasury bills, which are more stable. So treasury bills, he can go back to those America is owing, and say, okay, can we refinance this debt? So you're refinancing it, you bring down the value to 0%. So you have to cut out so many things. And then by threatening China with 50%, tariffs, and then Canada and others, what it means is that American farmers will not want to, and those ones imposing,
retaliatory
tariffs, thank you. American farmers will not want to move their produce out. So they will now have to sell it to Americans. And the prices of groceries will drop.
So which is a win-win for...
Well, I hope in the short run it looks like a win-win, but it's going to hurt a lot of nations like Nigeria. So that's what I'm saying. It depends on when you say people, the Cameroonians have, over the years, even Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, of course, his parents were in that area that later, Sadana province, that later fell into Cameroon. But he is on Nigeria, is on, the side of Nigeria, Jada. Since Jada, his hometown, fell into the side of Nigeria. So, but all in all, let me, like the United Nations will say, migration is a legal right, it's a human right, so that people are moving around, there's nothing wrong with it. If the host governments can accommodate them. You'll be surprised that there are Americans. The other day, an American citizen said he got married to a Nigerian woman and wanted a Nigerian citizenship, but he wasn't granted. You know, and I have to add quickly that getting Nigerian citizenship is very difficult. It's one of the most difficult things in the world.
And why? And one would, wonder why, knowing that what exactly is it that should make a house very difficult. But let's look at other issues. We have a breaking news right now of the demise of Pascal Dozier, the founder of moribund, now moribund Diamond Bank, PLC. He was born 39, died at the age of 85. Now let's take a look at this great man who has been there. Someone who has had the opportunity of creating what looked like a dream to lots of people, and not just creating it, but bringing it to life and creating something great out of it. It's safe to say that Diamond Bank is one of those banks that totally revolutionized what customer relation is, with respect to listening to your customer, taking their feedback and applying it to their business.
Pascal Dozier, God rest his soul, I would say is a Nigerian I would like to emulate. He's a Nigerian that is now a big example to other people. One of the biggest legacy in life is to be remembered long after you have gone by what you have done. And what has he done? He has created employment. We could just say it in that simple sentence, but there are branches, even I think outside Nigeria, especially now that it's Access Diamond. There are employment benefits down the chain.
MTN.
And in the wake of that 20 years ago bank recapitalization, the 2005, Diamond Bank survived. It's viable. Some see it in quotes as Igbo Bank, just as you would have looked at a Bank of the North.
Well, it was actually created for solving the problem of the southeastern business people.
Yes.
That was why he actually created that bank.
Actually, let's say, coming from Onitsha,
yes, exactly,
Abaka, but I'm using from that analogy to say it blossomed from that into a universal bank. Because anybody, I think, I have an account with Access, and it's now Access Diamond, and I'm not Igbo for it, so it's like the bank of the PHB. There's this bank, Unity Bank, kind of. Some people are in Port Harcourt, Calabar, who have not heard of Unity Bank, But staying with Pascal, by the time you go in Lagos here, you go through that law school axis. It's one of the fine monuments along that area. We pray that, and then I like that before his death, it was a seamless kind of succession thing up till now.
Succession to what?
He wasn't like the one running the bank until he died.
Well, the bank actually went moribund. That was clearly shown. Emeka, speak to us on especially the transfer, because he transferred the bank. He was the chairman from 1991 when it was created to 2006 when he handed it to his fourth son. Unfortunately, this young man didn't manage the bank as it was supposed to. And today it's no longer.
He didn't manage it well.
So what happened?
Unfortunately, the bank went under. When you are to review how a company went under, you look at a number of factors.
Sorry to interrupt. We have Access Diamond now. Can we say it really went under?
No, that was Diamond Bank. I'm talking about Diamond, not Access Diamond.
Okay.
No, of course. But the fact that, would you say the bank went under? The fact that the bank was, a good buy for Access means that we cannot fairly say, that will we be fair to the management, of Diamond Bank at that time to say that the bank went under. I think, the bank just didn't have a rosy time at the point. So, but it was good enough to be acquired by.
Of course. And Access are making good deals out of it.
And they're doing well. In fact, the customers they took over from Diamond Bank. There so many. I was one of them.
Yeah, of course. The number of branches that Diamond Bank had was
like
today, 3 times the number of Access Bank
has.
It's a community
Access
bank.
is number 1 in terms of branch network in Nigeria. So Pascal Dozier, he did so well. He lived well. He was a man of style. He was a man of color. He had money. you know, he lived a good life and invested well. I mean, you know, along with other shareholders, made MTN a big success story. You know, the big success story it turned out to be. And interestingly, if you look at it, if you permit this digression, we earlier talked about people immigrating to Nigeria from Cameroon. Well, if you look at MTN, it was also an immigration business idea from South Africa, you know, to Nigeria, you know, when black majority rule came to be, so 1996. So, of course, you see that, well, it was a nice one, you know, and actually revolutionized telecommunications in Nigeria. Was the first to get a GSM license, and you know. But I hope that those coming after him, you know, his children, family members, will be able to uphold his legacy, and I hope that we will not see these succession fights that have come to be, you know. Have come to, you know, be sort of the trademark of wealthy Nigerian families in recent times. When, you know, one wealthy person passes on, you see the children fighting over inheritance, which should not be. Because whatever you like, fight up and down. The government is going to take a chunk of that as inheritance tax. So it's not better to unite and find ways to reduce the taxes, the inheritance tax that will go to government.
You know, very, very true. You know, of course, we hope that you know the family will find you know a rest, you know, with their father.
Yeah,
you know,
may
so rest in peace. And let's take a look at other matters from the Vanguard newspaper. A cybercrime act management rule protest, police protest, and protesters clash in Abuja. You know, Port Harcourt. Now let's juxtapose this innocent Aduluba to what happened in the United States of America. You know, with the protests that happened there. Over 600,000 Americans protested against Donald Trump and his boy, Elon Musk. People love to use that. No tear gas no canister was thrown at the protesters. Now to Nigeria, less than 1,000 persons just protesting. And they couldn't even allow them to do the protest. So have we arrived to understanding the rule of law, most importantly, allowing people to let go what they want and their voices, and we respect that?
America became independent on 4th July 1776. They've cultivated free spirits into there. Look at how some of them came to be. The migrating Europeans from the Scandinavian, from Italy, Belgians, many went there to claim land to farm. And if your farm is way too far from where this meeting holds, you will have meeting B, meeting C. And in that evolution, they elected heads, which became later in a structured tenure, heads of counties. These counties federated into states and became this America we see. And so that free speech, which was the kernel of their departure from Europe in the wake of the Renaissance, if we go into history, has continued to grow. Like, we need to hear what these people have to say. We need to allow people air their grievances. And if you look at the cadres of political culture, the way we have parochial political culture at the lowest, subjective political culture at the middle, and participant political culture at the top. America is among those countries with established, sustained participant political culture. There is a wide latitude for respect for rights. Yes, there could be blemishes here and there. Perfection is a journey. It's not a destination.
As much as I agree with the theory that you have, must we wait that long
to
allow Nigerians to protest and air their voice?
Nigeria, on the flip side, has its peers like Brazil, India, Thailand, even the Koreas, you know. And the example I give to people is, I was in JSS1, first time I shaved my hair with clipper. I don't think my son will wait till he's in JSS1 to shave his hair with clipper. Where that modernization met him, that's where he takes off. So if America from 1st July 1776 is where it is now, and at the time, America had very few people to look up to. Today, with globalization, with technology, you can just look around and see a lot of examples. America just mentioned the recent black majority rule in South Africa. For whatever we analyze, Nelson Mandela became president in 1994. And that was about 24 years after Nigeria. So if you juxtapose, Nigeria is I don't know the word that will dignify us, but we are a happy, primitive country. We are a happy country that practices parochial political culture. And if from 1999 till now, 24 years, that's the exact years we are a senior democracy to South Africa. And the government is full of the mundane. The government sends out messages that announces their volume of administrative poverty. It is established after the death of vice presidential candidate then to the former president Muhammadu Buhari, the erudite Chuba Okadibo, after the tear gas, that protesters no longer need police permits to protest. It's an established precedent by the Supreme Court.
No, by the appeal court. It's not
by the appeal court. And now, if a police inspector general, commissioner knows there will be protest tomorrow in Calabar, in Lokoja, and they tell us that the protest will be hijacked, that's good foresight. So if the protest will be hijacked, show up there, turn up in good numbers, and foil the hijack.
And not
you turn up there.
All right.
And your intent is to shut down the protest before it takes off. That is our stamp of primitivity in Nigeria.
Very, very true. Emeka, I was listening to an analyst that was, of course, discussing the Donald Trump, issue, and the host said that lots of, Donald Trump's aides are suffering from what he called Trump derangement syndrome, where they do not think above their nose and see reality. Some people in Nigeria, if you compare it, are suffering from Tinubu derangement syndrome. An aide to the president said that a dollar in Nigeria is better off because at least we can buy something good enough with the dollar.
You can have a meal.
A meal, yes.
But I wonder where he saw that bully for 1.5.
You understand?
Or if that is his daily meal.
No. See,
so speak to us on this particular matter as against the desire for Nigeria to protest and them not releasing the reality.
Thank you. First of all, it is the right of Nigerians to protest. Secondly, the security forces have no right to use force against protesters.
Unarmed civilians.
Against protesters. Now, these are things that will be ironed out one day. And I hope some people will be made to pay for it. Maybe some past inspector general of police, including the current one, will be made to pay for it. I'm very hopeful of that. So, and the other thing is this. People have a right to criticize and to protest against bad governance. What do we have today? I was on a radio program, and I was saying people have a right to protest, that look at bad governance. I didn't say certain things. Then someone came on air. I was saying, no, that look at what am I saying? That the leaders are there, and there's nothing we can do about it. That instead of criticizing them, all we need to do is to go and pray and all of that. I said, okay, is that so? That is all right. But you see, it's just that we have a bounden duty as citizens, to speak up about things. Otherwise, for somebody like me, if I'm running my business and I'm able to pay my family's bills, take care of myself, I don't give a hoot what happens. Because a lot of Nigerians are deliberately, stewed in ignorance. They think that because, they have, a liking for somebody in power. Then anybody who criticizes that person becomes an enemy. This fellow even tried to export it to tribalism and all of that. But I was waiting for an opportunity to hit back at him. The program now went off. It's okay. That to me is just one of those accidental, things that you come across on air. But what I want to say is this. In Port Harcourt, the protest was against the illegal state of emergency imposed by Tinubu. If what Tinubu did was right, why did the House of Representatives write to the sole administrator to tell him you have no power to make laws? If it was right.
Okay, so the
House of Rep.
The House of Rep that
Yes,
was taken out has asked the sole administrator.
The federal.
The Federal House of Representatives. Okay.
They've told him he has no power to make laws. Now the Gazette Tinubu signed said that the sole administrator will report to him directly, only him. That it is abhorrent. It is unconstitutional. So now, if everything was okay, why would they do that? Then look at the Take It Back movement. They protested in Lagos and Abuja against the Cybercrime Act. The Cybercrime Act is obnoxious and will continue to fight until that act is scrapped. John Mahama, as president of Ghana, one of the first things he did was to scrap the Cybercrime Act because he didn't want to bear a moral burden, from the misuse of that law. So he just said there was no need for it. If you feel defamed, go to court. Don't use the police as a weapon or the judiciary as a weapon against people. And that's what you see today. Cybercrime, look at one fellow called a pastor that somebody criticized his preachings. He used the police to go and arrest the man. But thank God for Comrade Omo Eleshwari, who got the man released. And there are cases like that. People, because they have influence or they have some money, to corrupt the system, they go and use the police, then get one magistrate. Look at the case of one tomato pacemaker. How these people were eventually found to have gone to Nasarawa State to get a magistrate to sign a fraudulent order. That magistrate now has been dismissed from service.
Ooh.
So, when you look at all of these things, it is because we have bad laws. And it's because, you see, the Nigerian politicians, those in the system, are not morally capable of saying no to any temptation to misuse the law. That is why we have this situation. That's why we have this situation. In many countries, there are things like that, but people will never go to such things because why? You know you have a moral burden. There's a legacy you are leaving, and people will remember you for that legacy. One of the legacies by which people remember the current President General of Police is that he weaponized the Cybercrime Act against even innocent Nigerians, just for commenting on Facebook. That's one of the odious legacies he'll be remembered for. And let me tell you something. You see, nobody knows where a law you support or you misuse, where it can catch up with you. You don't know. We will leave office one of these days. Is it not the former Director General of NYSC, Maraz Usiga, Major General Maraz Usiga, who was kidnapped by bandits since February 5? They had to gather 300 people to raise ransom for him, for his release. And then the defense headquarters now come here, that demeans the effort. The fact of the matter is that yes, we know you made effort. Some captives of kidnappers escaped, but he couldn't escape because he was sick. But you didn't go into the kidnappers then to bring him out. It was that ransom money that made them to bring him out. So when it has got to that level, whereby a major general, a retired major general, can be held by bandits, and people, including civilians, whom soldiers will call bloody civilians, they had to gather money to get him out. So let people realize one thing. The kinds of things you support, they will come around. What goes around will come around. They will come and meet you. So people should be careful when you support bad governance, because the man in power is, your kinsman or of your religion or somebody you support or the same political party. Take notice that someone is going to come around to you. I'll give you an example. There is this guy on X, who has been an advocate, of President Bola Tinubu, supporting him, saying all kinds of things. He even said he moved from Lagos to APPOINTS State to continue to, to talk about the things Tinubu is doing. There was a report that his son, whether, I don't know, granite or something, entered his lungs. None of the hospitals in APPOINTS State had a tracheometer to bring out the son, and the boy died.
Really?
36 billion was spent on on an airport in the state capital, Abakaliki. That's nothing. Not even a small paper aircraft that children travel. None of them has landed there.
Well, it's been
But just
converted
one lady, one Nigerian American lady who came for something that landed with an aircraft there in December. They were celebrating it. But you built big hospitals. You even gave one to there's one, a federal teaching hospital there. There are others, but they don't have a tracheometer, something as basic as a tracheometer. So now this guy, they even had to, the hospital they went to, they had to bring policemen to restrain him from attacking the medical personnel there. Now there's somebody who has been supporting Tinubu, fighting, abusing people online because of Tinubu. Unfortunately, it's sad, it made me sad that his son died. But look at this kind of a thing. When people support evil, when people support bad governance, do they realize that they can be victims of those things, those odious things they support? Nigerians should think very well.
Very, very true. Innocent Adoba, in 60 seconds, please. Dino on my mind. Right now, he's been considered for an ambassadorial post. And of course, this is in tandem with
Dino Reno.
Yeah, Reno, sorry. Reno Omokri. Yes.
Well, it tells us kudos to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC appointing high commissioners almost 2 years into an administration.
Well, he hasn't appointed yet. It's still in the process.
It's in the build-up. Yes. So thank you. I think that is the last, how do they call it, straw that will break opposition. I know, or we hear even an opposition personality like Sheikh Husani.
Yeah.
He's in the
Sheikh Husani has gone back to APC. There's no more in the opposition.
Okay. And also,
Ugwayin has been more APC than PDP because himself and Ikpeazu were running with WIKE. So, if you look at it,
you mean the former Enugu governor?
Yes.
And also, that's why I'm going now. Sorry, my 60 seconds remaining 30. That's why I said it's the last straw that will break opposition, you know. How do I mean? The political archbishop of APC, Adams Oshomole, have said, once you join us, all your things. So maybe some of us should start shouting. If somebody like Comrade Omoyele Sowore, let me use the word, calms down and agrees, they will give him that post. But you see, it's not compensation to stop constructive criticism. Some of these things we are saying, they are lamentable. Look at the son of somebody, a supporter of a government, died because of government. People don't see the connection.
No, they don't.
It's a remote negligence of the provision of basic health amenities for the people you trumpet about, and then you have a major life irreplaceable loss in a son who we don't know who could even be the heir. Exactly. You know. So, well, kudos in the build-up to the ambassadorial appointment. I'm here too, if they consider me.
Yes, of course, but that will start when you, of course, talk against him. When you talk against him and then later you change your mind to want to praise him, then maybe you might, the son of the president might enlist your name.
Oh, why that route?
Yes, because of course it's in the process, yes. All right, people, that's just about the time we have for this particular segment. Just to let you know, both gentlemen will be here to take us on our main conversation. When we return, governors resist local government autonomy, oppose CBN accounts for direct allocations. That in a beat is still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go.